Good to see you back for the second part of my conversation with Simon Tribelhorn. He is the CEO of the Liechtenstein Bankers Association. We are going to continue drilling deeper into what financial capital centers really can do in order to push that green investment dynamic. Enjoy.
We do need skilled people in the area of sustainable investment, ESG, SDGs, and so on. But there is not that much, or not so many people are at hand to overcome the huge challenge towards more sustainable finance.
You know, Simon, I was just thinking, I just had in the last couple of weeks interviews with the CEO of Ecopetrol and also the CEO of Baker Hughes. Now, both of these companies are very much in the oil and gas business. So you could argue this is the old economy kind of representatives when it comes to the companies and the business. And I wonder, you know, if you have the asset managers, if you've got the customers of asset managers and the regulation all pushing towards ESG, what's going to happen to the old economy stocks? I mean, we still need energy. There will still be oil around. There will be gas around. There will be shale gas around. I mean, what's going to happen to these stocks if all of a sudden we're seeing trillions and trillions of dollars being pushed towards ESG compliant stocks?
Well, I'm not so sure. I think there's a huge shift of the whole economy ongoing. And it is a process. It is a long process. And I think we have a long way still. We have a long way to go. And that's why I said before, I think such an approach, as you mentioned, it is really forward-looking. It is a role model. But you mentioned as well, let's say, the time or the time frame. And I think that's very important that we all decide, and a lot of already have decided to go this way. Go this route, this path, which is very challenging, but it's the only way to be, as I said, to be relevant in the future, to be relevant in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because, you know, the entire climate change issue has been on the table really post-bellicum. I mean, latest 60s and 70s, you know, and all of a sudden, and now we are red alert when it comes to our climate change. And only when it starts hurting, when people really are seeing that they have floods, that they have fires, they are, you know, being touched personally by the climate change issue, people are moving. So it really only is when you reach a certain pain point that things can be happening.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned as well the PACTA assessment, and Liechtenstein decided to do it in 2020. Other countries they have decided to do it a little bit later, and in my view, it lies in the nature that the earlier a country or let's say corresponding institutions decide to participate in a test, of course, the less advanced they are in the process towards climate compatibility or with the PACTA, with the climate goals. But I firmly believe that faster or to be one of the earliest does not generally mean worse or worse, because this gives also a little bit more of time to prepare and to change and to transform yourself.
Yeah, it does take time. It's very true. But we are running out of time. You think about what's happening on the climate issue. And one point before we are starting to get into another issue altogether is the education and professional skill shortage when it comes to ESG investments. I mean, there I get goosebumps, honestly, Simon, because I'm thinking, okay, if I go to a fund manager and he presents to me, or, you know, my family officer, and he presents to me an ESG fund, I really trust that whoever sits on the other side of my investment actually knows what they are doing, knows how to select these companies in that ESG compliant portfolio. But that's not the case.
I think you're pointing on a very important issue. FC4S did another study, but just for the European area. And what they found out is, based on the feedback of most of the European financial centers, that there is really a huge need for education when it comes to sustainable investments, and they called it the so-called skills gap in the field of sustainable investments. And we do need skilled people in the area of sustainable investments, ESG, SDGs, and so on. But there is not that much, or not so many people are at hand to overcome the huge challenge towards more sustainable finance. And that's very important. So what we need to have is a kind of an offering, a kind of more education possibilities, and so Sustainable Finance did an excellent job when publishing all the kind of opportunities where you can, what kind of education, of educational courses you as an employee you can do, and you can professionalize your skills in this area.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there, because I think ESG, or the conviction to build anything sustainable, actually should start with the corporation. It should be part of their value set, a part of DNA, how you build your company in the first place. And just in terms of skills, I had Urs Landhold on last week. He is one of the partners of Globalance Bank. You know Globalance Bank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. No, sure.
And, yeah, of course you do. I mean, if not you, who else? But, they're one of those pioneers in ESG investments. And we were talking about the new tool, which is the Globalance World, which really is, have you seen it? I mean, the gamification in that is amazing. And it really is giving you the sense of transparency, and the data set they pump into it, and the result gives you really this kind of transparency you would like to look at, which should help the educational edge as well, shouldn't it?
Yeah, sure. But I think transparency and data is one aspect which is very important, and their Globalance World is great. It's a great tool. It's available for everybody. So it's really a huge it's a powerful tool. But on the other hand, I think skills are very important, because you need the people, and there I think at every level you need quite a deep understanding at strategic level when it comes to CEOs and so on. They have to understand it's not just a business opportunity; it will be the future. Sustainable finance will be the future. So you have to have quite a good understanding at top level, because the decision how you want to transform your company, your business, your bank, that comes from the top.
No, absolutely.
But then you have to implement all the regulation. So you have to have the lawyers who understand the regulation which comes in our case as an EA country, which comes from the EU. But then you need to have the guys at product development level, which understand, okay, what does that mean for how do I integrate that in my product offering, and so on. So you need the basic or not just basic skills. You need to have a good understanding at every level over all kind of the value chain within the bank, and I think that's a huge challenge for every bank, and that's why I said it is. You have to transform the whole bank, and that's very challenging, to be honest.
It is challenging because the entire paradigm is shifting, and until we are from ESG investments and kind of single it out compared to the rest of the investments to investment, meaning it's all ESG driven, that is, I think, the journey we are all on. And unless we do, you just mentioned the supply chain, so spot on, Simon, because unless I always call it from, planting the seed, getting the carrot to the customer's dining table until you know that everything is compliant in that sense, you cannot 100% say this is a, sustainable investment. I mean, it really is now splitting hairs, but I think this is where we're moving to, right? Yeah.
And that's why I think it's a kind of a paradigm shift. It's not just a transformation of the bank, it's a paradigm shift. For me, sustainable finance is kind of not just to invest meaningfully, it's the what. And when digitalization comes in, in my view, that's the how. So how do I work in the future? Digitalization is crucial, and to combine these two aspects, the what and the how, that's the paradigm shift in my view. Each and every bank has to go through to be relevant in the future.
Yes, and you just read my mind, because here my next question was, how does technology really help this kind of movement and paradigm shift you were just saying from, boutique kind of maybe to a mainstream kind of investment? How does really technology support it, also with the entire DeFi momentum which we are seeing?
In my view, in various aspects. We mentioned before the data. Digitalization, or let's say the digital tools we have nowadays at hand, very much help when it comes to data quality, data availability, but then as well to be more efficient, let's say back end, to be more efficient, to offer our services, our products more efficiently. But then as well, we spoke before about or talked about greenwashing. Digitalization helps very much to comply with the transparency needs our clients have nowadays. But then as well, when it comes to the channel, how you want to communicate with your clients, and you mentioned the younger generation, the millennials, for them it's very normal to communicate with all these digital tools. And then we have, and that's in my view a very decisive aspect. If you want to have impact, and if you want to show in a very transparent way that you have really impact, then you have to measure it. And that's, in my view, another important aspect, if not the most important aspect, to show, to demonstrate what the impact is of each and every investment. And let's say to prove that it's not greenwashing, you really invest meaningfully with the assets or with your portfolio. You invest with me as a bank, or let's say I advise you to invest in.
Yeah, and you not only move money, but more than money, like Glow Balance has as one of the taglines. And just to talking about the technology aspect, we always talk about finance and trust, and our trust as investors has been so often shaken with the scandals, with the Madoffs, with I don't want to really list them all because I don't remember them all. But anyway, the blockchain. The blockchain and the immutability of the blockchain technology is, in my mind, and please correct me if I'm barking up the wrong tree, is fundamental. Because once you can actually see that businesses are recording immutability or immutably what they are doing step by step, all the way through their supply chain, then you really have not just trust, as in, okay, I'll trust you because I like you, but trust simply because technology is giving you a fact.
Well, you mentioned a very important point, and a very good and a fair one. maybe 2 years back, when we talked about blockchain, it was mainly in connection with KYC. So, and I think nowadays we all have realized and all know that with blockchain, it's very easy to go back and say, okay, in terms of KYC, we know where the money comes from because blockchain you can really prove, and it's very transparent, or it helps to be more transparent, and not just back to let's say the one chain, but the whole value or the whole chain, not just one to your investor, but the whole chain back. Mm-hmm. I think the future will be that we talk not just about know your customer, but as well know your investment, and their blockchain could be crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Okay, you mentioned, and now we're starting to wrap up our conversation, Simon, you mentioned the implementation. So we have the directives, we do have a certain momentum, we have now your FC4S report. What are the milestones you're going to look at and need to be reached, especially driven by this report, because there needs to be some results? One thing is to huddle up and say, hey, we are do-gooders, and this is what we should do. But also, really, as you were saying, with the metrics, we need to say, by that date, we need to be there, check up on it, and if it's not happening, we need to move faster or differently. Where is it going to lead, I mean, driven by this particular report?
Well, at association level, I think what our role is to help our members to be somehow instrumental, and what we are working currently on is our new strategy for the banking sector. It's called the Roadmap 2025. We are not yet finished with this work, but we will be around end of March. And what I can say by now is that sustainable finance and sustainability will be, again, a cornerstone. And based on that roadmap, we'll try to go deep and down, and we'll work besides the roadmap itself it's not a roadmap for sustainable finance. It's more a kind of an action plan and a really concrete measures, but for the whole banking sector. And obviously, the points we already discussed. What will be the future of digitalization when it comes to sustainable investments will be very important, but the skills aspect is crucial as well, and then the product level. I think what I can say by sure here in Liechtenstein, that all banks and as a banking center, we have realized that it's on a strategic level, it is the future, sustainable finance. I think we have not only a long way to go, but we have come from a long way already, and we can look back now 5 years, and I think what we have achieved is okay, but it's not enough.
Yes, and I think, the actual dynamic will continue as long as these stocks are really performing as well, because people, they vote with their pockets. People, they buy their investments with their pockets. They want their returns. I mean, nobody is Mother Teresa. So somewhere, be it the financial intermediaries, be it us as investors, be it the companies that are being listed and invested in, we all need to have a return in order to live, give jobs, and just have a life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And PACTA was a starting point. Now we know where we stand there. We know how we can improve, and we want to build on all these studies. The PACTA assessment, the study published by FC4S. We know more or less now where we can improve and what we can do. And end of January, which was very important for us as well. EBF, the European Banking Federation, published another report, and it's called Testing the EU Taxonomy. And obviously there we have another kind of feedback, what we have to do and how we can engage to, let's say, to go a next step. And it's a long way to go. That's for sure. It's challenging.
And taxonomy definitely giving you, as you were saying earlier on, potentially a blueprint to go global and play a level playing field. Last question to you, Simon. As a potential investor, what do you think are the 3 key things if I'm looking at ESG investments, sustainable investments, choosing funds I should consider? What would you say?
Do I get a really transparent report where I can see how my investment is invested in, or where my investment, or my portfolio is invested in? Then I think the discussion with my advisor is very important. Is my advisor open to, let's say, to engage when it comes to sustainable finance? And how is the level of education? Is he really advising me towards sustainable finance? What kind of feedback do I get from him? Dialogue between or with my relationship manager, the reporting I get, and I think it's just, for me, if I'm a client, I would try to find out where is my bank, where is my advisor heading to. So what is his strategic vision? I think these three aspects will be very important for me as a client: reporting, dialogue, strategic, or let's say the vision and the strategic way my bank or my advisor is heading to.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Simon. It was a fantastic conversation. We really touched on everything, and I think there's a lot of value for our viewers in order to really sift through the entire, is it a hype, is it greenwashing, or is it the real thing? And we're really having a paradigm shift. So thank you so much for being with us here on Mentoring TV.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Patricia. It was a pleasure. Hope to see you soon again.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, my dear Mentoring TV community, for having joined us yet again for a fantastic conversation, this time with the CEO of the Liechtenstein Bankers Association, Simon Tribelhorn. If you like, share, and also join our community by subscribing, hitting the bell button, and I will always keep you informed. I see you with the next conversation. Bye.